September 3rd is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas? Mr. Guidry? Mr. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Snyder?
Here.
Mr. Fendel?
Here.
Mr. Brookter?
Here.
Mr. Ballantyne?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes from the August 6th meeting?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Second.
Okay, would everyone please vote with your lights?
I'd love to.
We have some voting missing.
We're missing some votes.
What's the matter with them other guys down there? What do we want to do? We don't have a thing to vote.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you count them in on the it being present?
Yeah,
It already passed.
hold on a minute.
3 votes. And that may be.
You got them?
No,
Go to attendance and see if it's checked off on attendance.
oh,
No,
that's
that's
what
why.
happened.
All right, let's re-vote with your lights, please.
Motion passed.
Okay. Our first case is BOA case number 2019-1569 BOA. Request by applicant in an A4 single-family residential zoning district to reduce the required street yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet. The property is located at 61525 North 7th Street, Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant is Danielle Gornet. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required street yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet to allow for the construction of a single-family residence. Staff comments, please.
The applicant is seeking a reduction of the side street setback to allow for the construction of a 2,654 square foot single-family residence. Although the property is triangular in shape, staff does not have any reason to be in favor of the requested variance since the size of the single-family residence could be reduced to meet the setback requirements.
Is the applicant present? Would you please come forward and state your name and address for the records, please?
Danielle Garnett, 61525 North 7th Street, Slidell, Louisiana, 70461.
Ms. Cornett, do you have anything further to add?
Well, the lot is kind of shaped funny, and I was hoping to get the approval because that's the only part that I don't have the setbacks for, by it being a corner lot.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
Well, it's a great access to the subdivision that, you know, new construction is coming up around there.
Okay. I see we have some questions of you. Mr. Gordon? I got your microphone.
Ms. Danielle, did you buy a stock set of plans? I mean,
Yes, I already brought the plans.
so you bought
and-
plans and didn't realize they weren't going to fit on the lot?
Right, because the setbacks that that they gave me were different when we put the 3 lots together by being a corner lot.
Who gave you the wrong set?
The city.
Well, this isn't in the city of
No, I mean, the
Slidell.
parish, when I brought the plans in and she looked at everything to make sure that it fitted on the lot before I got the lot, she said that it was okay, but then we put all 3 lots together. And it's smaller at the back, the lot comes in.
So you brought the set of plans to the parish permit department to review,
Right,
and they looked at it and they said that it's fine, so you went ahead and did everything, and now it's not fine.
right.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions of the applicant? Did you hit your request to speak, Tom? All right. Well, there's no, Mr. Brookter hit it first. I'm sorry, Mr. Brookter?
Ms. Garnett, do they have a homeowners association in that area?
No, we don't have a homeowner association.
That's all I have.
Is anyone else, Tom, you took yours down?
He asked my question.
Okay. Do we have any other questions of the applicant? Mr. Snyder?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with your lights?
Motion passed.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Okay.
100, thank you.
Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1580, BOA. Request by applicant in an A2 suburban zoning district to reduce the required rear yard setback from 20 feet to 3.6 feet, the required northern side yard setback from 5 feet to 4.4 feet, and to waive the required southern side yard setback. The property is located at 57573 Baldwin Drive, Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant is Tanya Miller. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback from 20 feet to 3.6 feet, the required northern side yard setback from 5 feet to 4.4 feet, and to waive the required southern side yard setback. Staff comments, please.
The applicant is seeking setback variances to allow for the elevation of an existing single-family residence to the minimum base flood elevation. As shown in the attached survey, the property is located in flood zone 810 with a base flood elevation of 10 feet. Since the residence is currently encroaching on the adjacent property, the owner explored the option of minimize the potential setback variance requests, such as the reduction of the square footage of the residence and the possibility of moving the residence entirely on the property. However, as stated in the attached narrative, the two options are not feasible since one would greatly affect the size of one room, making it practically unusable, and the other option would make the resident unstable due to the presence of an underground stream crossing the property. Finally, in order to submit the variance application form and to allow for the existing residence to be elevated, maintained, and repaired in its current location, the owner acquired a servitude agreement from the abutting property owner. Staff is in favor of the requested variance, considering that the residence has been affected by floodwater several times and that the main reason for the request is to allow for the residence to be elevated at the minimum base flood elevation.
Is the applicant present? Yes, I am. Would you please come forward and state your name and address for the records, please?
Tanya Miller, 57573 Baldwin Drive, Slidell, Louisiana, 70460.
Ms. Miller, do you have anything further to add?
Not unless you ask me a question.
Okay. All right, let me see if we have any questions from anyone on the board. Mr. Gordon?
Hey, Ms. Miller, can I assume you all bought this house and it had already been built?
Correct. We bought it right after Katrina, and we couldn't get a surveyor. And we were told we owned up to and probably on the other side of the fence, and that the guy had a right of first refusal from the lot owner. He did not, and it did not.
So you bought the house after Katrina, but how old is the house?
The original house was built in 1960. The addition was built in 69.
So you bought it with an addition.
The addition is the encroachment onto the side lot.
Well, it looks like I can't tell from the plan.
Would you like a larger survey?
Well, I have a survey, but I can't tell. It just shows residence, so I don't know where. I mean, you're encroaching on the left side. You're also encroaching in the back.
Not in the rear.
Not in the back. We're 3 feet from the back line.
Well, 3 feet isn't a rear setback, so
No, it's not.
obviously something's not right there, so that's what I'm saying. So the addition would be that little piece that pokes out to the left?
Correct.
Okay. But you all didn't do any of that anyway?
No, and when we approached the property owner, $100, we got a 2-foot servitude where the encroachment is with an additional 4 feet for maintenance and repair.
So when you all bought the property, in other words, going through closing and everything, there had to be some issues because
Never came up.
it never came up?
They never got a survey, we never got a survey. It was never re-subdivided legally.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Ballantyne?
Ms. Miller, on the agreement to purchase this little piece of land over there, I got page 4 or 5. I don't have 5 of 5, and there may be something I need to know on 5 of 5. Is there anything I need to know on there?
Five of 5 is the survey. Do you have a copy of that? I know it's really small and illegible. I did bring a larger copy.
There's a copy of the survey in your packet.
And that's,
That's page 5 of 5.
okay. Ms. Miller, so you're buying the
Only
part
a
of the
servitude.
land.
Only a servitude, a predial servitude to use what the house already occupies.
But somebody else owns that servitude.
Somebody else owns the land underneath, but we have the right to use that 2 feet.
But there's no setback around what you're gonna end up with where your house is on that other piece of land that you bought, but there's no setback around the house. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that okay?
We do
looking at
have
the
4
staff.
feet. We do have 4 feet to do maintenance and repair on the house. So I don't know if you would consider that a setback.
I don't know. Somebody tell me. I don't know.
Well, currently, there's a small setback from the property line in the rear and on the side. It meets the setback in the front. Now, obviously, on that particular side where she obtained the servitude, there's no setback. It's over the property line. So basically, she's requesting to elevate the house in its current location.
Yeah, but we're not voting. It's not our responsibility to grant permission to elevate the house. We're here to vote on the setback, and I don't understand. I can't keep track. It's like a Rubik's Cube.
Okay, basically.
There are too many moving parts on this. I'm not intellectually capable to understand this.
So basically, the house is on the ground and it's going up. And because the house is being moved up, then she's requesting to keep the same setbacks that she has right now around the property and allow the house to be moved up and to keep the same distance from each property line and to keep the encroachment.
May I interject?
Just
So,
mere-
in other words, if she didn't do anything, the house would stay like it is with no problem.
Yes.
So all she's trying to do is to raise the house to meet the minimum base flood elevation.
That's correct.
So I don't see it to me, it's not a real big issue, just raising the house that's been there, that nothing can be done. If she leaves it as it is, it's gonna stay as is. But she's just trying to get it up out the flood, so it wouldn't flood again.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm just saying, personally, I don't have a problem with what she's trying to do here. But go ahead, Mr. Valentine, you still have the floor.
Thank you.
Are you finished, Mr.
No,
Valentine?
I ain't done.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and so we're given a setback on the air,
No.
on the shadow.
No. On the building.
The setback's already there. The building's been there since, I think, 1960 or 59, whatever she stated. And it was done, I guess, incorrectly back then in 1969 or whatever, 60, whenever it was built. So if she didn't do anything, she wouldn't even be before us if she didn't want to raise the house to meet the base flood elevation.
Correct.
She wouldn't have to come before this, if I'm not mistaken, and legal and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, she wouldn't have to come to us if she wasn't raising the house, period. Everything she had is grandfathered in, if I'm not speaking, is grandfathered in, she has no problem. It's the thing that's, when she wanted to raise the house, she has to come in to get permission to do that, and that's when these issues are coming up.
Correct.
In the staff report, as we explained, we discussed, and I said, well, can't you remove a portion of the house to try to meet the setback requirements the best of your ability? But if she removes a portion of the house, then one of the room in the house will basically be very, very small or unusable. Then we looked into the option of moving the house onto the property and forward. But according to the narrative,
Stream over there.
the stream, then it's gonna make the house totally unstable. So basically, because she's required to get a building permit to move the house up, the request is to allow the house, to obtain a building permit, but to allow the house to stay in its current location or position on the property. It's not gonna be moved, the setbacks are not gonna be adjusted.
Well, the instability because of a stream, you just get a longer pile. Right?
No,
Why not?
because I'm not an engineer.
I am.
You a structural engineer?
No.
You're a PE,
Yeah.
structural engineer?
No.
Okay. You want a stream running under your home?
Well, if there's a stream down there, you gotta drive the pile further.
Can I address anything here?
Well,
Well, wait a minute, I'm
in a
not done.
second, he has the floor. I see you got your light on. Greg, you have
I'm
the,
gonna try to help answer his questions.
well, if you,
I'm not done.
okay, go ahead, Tom.
What happens if her neighbor or she sells a house? This grant, this, whatever you pay, you paid for this little portion to her neighbor, right?
Correct.
So that gets attached to the deed, so it doesn't matter. It goes with the sale. Because I was concerned about that, but that's not a problem. And our granting of the setback goes with the house also. Okay, hold on. I want Greg to explain this to me, but let me ask some other stuff first. I mean, if we approve this, we're doing away with the setbacks altogether. Wipes out all the setbacks.
Well, it will keep the setback as they currently are.
Tom, do you understand? And
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
If she does nothing, those setbacks, there can't be nothing done with, correct me if I'm wrong, legal, those setbacks will stay. The only reason it's an issue now is because she wants to raise the house. If she left that house like that forever, these setback requirements wouldn't come into play at all. Because it's grandfathered in, there's nothing that can be done. She could sell the house tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, as the house sits right now. She has a recorded, if I'm not mistaken, recording easement to go over the property line. That is recorded in the package. So I don't know how else to explain it. It's really not a big issue in my eyes. Now, we can have legal, maybe she can answer, let me get your mic on.
I got it on.
Okay.
Basically, the staff is not allowed to deviate from the setback requirements. So her, and Helen, correct me if I'm wrong, but when she comes in to request a permit, the staff is not allowed to give her a permit because they can't deviate from those setback requirements. So she and the staff are asking this board, would it be appropriate to amend the setback requirements so that she can get her permit to raise the house. Without it, she won't be able to raise the house. But you're correct, if she just left the house as it was, she wouldn't be required to move the house or to meet those setback requirements because she's essentially grandfathered.
Do you understand that, Tom? You still look like confused. She's trying to avoid flooding again in the future. And the only option she has of this is to raise the house or to sell the house, and then someone else is gonna be faced with the same issue coming in to raise the house.
I think I got it. She needs the setback variance in order to raise the house.
That's correct.
Because the house is already encroaching on the setback,
That's correct.
because you're just going straight upward.
That's correct. Anytime you go for a building permit, you have to bring, depending on what you're doing to the house, you have to bring it up to current codes. And that's why she's coming in. If she did a lot of other renovation, you would have to get building inspected. You have to make sure the electrical is done to code. A lot of things have to be done to code. She's coming in to do something to raise the house, which is not doing no renovation, but she has to get all these other things amended so there's not a problem. The parish can't arbitrarily just say, well, go ahead and raise it without getting a variance, because the things in the past was not done properly. It's not her fault, not the parish's fault, but it has to be corrected legally, and this is the legal ways of doing it. Any other thing, Tom?
My brother down there is going to enlighten me.
Greg?
Even though Tim didn't have the floor, he answered everything I was gonna tell you, so that's it.
Okay, is there any other questions of Ms. Miller? Mr. Brookter?
I want to make a motion to approve the variance.
Second.
We got a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion carries.
Thank you all so much.
Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1582, BOA. Request by applicant for, in an A4 single-family residential district and after the fact variance to reduce the required side yard setback from 5 feet to 4.5 feet. The property is located at 437 Colonial Court, Mandeville, Louisiana. The applicant is Stephanie Reese. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact variance to reduce the required yard setback from 5 feet to 4.5 feet. Staff comments, please.
The request is to allow for a partially constructed 384-square-foot pavilion to remain on the site on an existing slab approximately 4.5 feet from the property line. As shown on the attached plan, the purpose of the pavilion is to allow for an outdoor covered space area and for a small storage room. Although the owner was not aware of the required setback and that a building permit was required for the proposed pavilion, staff is not in support of the requested variance, considering that no evidence of hardship has been demonstrated.
Is the applicant present? Would you please come forward and state your name and address for the records, please?
Stephanie Reese, 437 Colonial Court, Mandeville, 70471.
Ms. Reese, do you have anything further to add?
I did get the neighbors. I know I'm 4.5 inches actually, but because there's a fence that was built inside, that was in front of the, I think, 28-year-old fence, it looks as if 4.5 inches, they put down 6 inches is needed, possibly in some areas. I think it's not, but I did get my neighbor, we do have a garden that's already cemented, and it can't be moved over. Oh, I'm sorry. The only gate going into the backyard is right in between the garden and the cement, and it starts right at that spot. Everything was pre-cut and it's, now laying in my backyard. And I don't know what to do. I just want to finish it. And I'm 4.5 inches too close. Everybody said it was 4 feet, and I guess it's not. It's 5 feet is what I should be away from that property line. So it looks like it's 3.5 inches too close at one point and 4.5 inches too close at the front, because I guess the property line is not, the fence is not parallel, and that slab is not parallel, something like that. An inch difference, but they said put down 6 inches extra so that we could just finish. Everything's there and cut, and I don't know how to remove it and start all over again for 4.5 inches, especially after getting custody of my grandson. I can't afford it. So I'm hoping you grant me those extra inches. I do have, I was told 45 homes. I managed to get 36 signatures. I tried to go back. It kept raining. I teach. I couldn't get the last few signatures. Nobody seems to be opposed. And I do have a letter from my only adjacent neighbor. Since I'm lot 1, there is nobody over here, and the back is just open space. The city just parks things to fix they were parking everything when they were doing the street projects, repairing. I don't know if you want to see the letter
Ms.
from
Reese, if you could
him.
give us a copy of the letter you have from your neighbor and for all the neighbors to sign. We don't have that in our package,
And
but
so we have I wanted to go back to the other few houses that were left. I think there's 2 or 3 that doesn't appear as anybody's ever there. But like I said, I couldn't get the last few homes to say that they weren't opposed. I teach all day, and then my daughter just does soccer, everything, and then I have my grandson, so.
okay, I
But
have
most
some,
people don't seem like they're opposed to the 4.5 inches, but I know it says 6. I really need 4.5 and 3.5 in the back.
okay, we have a couple board members have some questions. Mr. Gordon?
Ms. Reese, who's your builder? You're not building this
Oh.
yourself.
No. My husband had done some work for a friend, and I guess he does this. They got me all excited, and I
So your husband's
don't know
doing
much
this?
of any. No, he lays.
Your husband's friend's doing this?
Yes.
He's a builder. And he didn't know that you need a permit to put up 300 square feet of building with electrical and everything else in it?
There is not going to be electrical.
It says on
I
here
think at one-
TV, so, and a bar? No TV, no bar?
I would love to put that eventually.
What's on your
But
drawing?
the
I
TV
didn't-
right now was an idea to put in the back, and,
But
that's a once-a-year probably get-together for a Saints game, and there are outlets all next to us. It's very close to the house, so that would be very easy to put an extension cord. It would be kind of nice in the future, but, at this point, there is no way. I just paid $630 for childcare.
Well, I wanna make
There's
sure
no way.
everybody-
I just want to finish, and that material's already paid for and just sitting there, and I think,
I want to make sure everybody understands that the variance is actually only for the concrete, because the building is set in from the edge of the concrete, sufficient enough that it meets all of the building setbacks.
No, we
I
calculate,
don't think so.
no, we calculate, it's the building itself. It's
Well,
the-
then, why is it that all of this verbiage is written on your paperwork that you submitted? Is that not accurate?
I don't know what they wanted. They told me I needed to draw plans, and I said, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, well, it
And they
says
told-
9 inches additional from edge of slab to outer edge of south headers.
It's
And
a,
the drawing shows your columns all not outside on the outside edge of the concrete. But they're set
not.
in.
We moved in, and they said, everybody thought it was 4 feet.
So staff.
And at first, I
So
wanted just a
staff, is she
pergola.
not 9 inches in from the edge of the concrete to the beam, to the columns?
no, the slab is inside the setback.
I get that, and that's
And-
what I was saying, but the
but
structure
the
isn't on the edge of the slab.
No, it's not on the edge of the slab,
So-
although it is still,
So technically, the
Less than-
structure, forget the slab, the structure meets the setbacks, the slab doesn't.
no, sir. The slab is inside the setback, and although additional information will have to be provided and additional work will have to be done, engineering confirmed that the slab was not an issue. The structure itself is inside the setback.
So that's what I'm trying to get a determination.
very
This
difficult.
information here is not correct.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand the way it's explained, but when you measure it, then you calculate it, it's,
Well, it says that the slab is 46.5 inches from the property line, so that's not accurate, is what you're telling me. So the information we have to make this determination is not accurate.
okay, what,
I'm
What
looking
I-
at a drawing with stuff written on it.
what I used, is what is written on the application form itself.
And they measured from the fence. The permit office told me,
Forget the fence, because
I
there's no
needed-
telling where the fence is in relation to the property line. Do you have a survey that shows any of this?
yes, it was submitted.
No, the survey does not show
I do have
exactly
another.
where it sits on the property.
Okay, I got you. So she's 55, I got it. All right, so it is 9 inches, all right, that's my bad, I understand what you got. Okay, I'm good.
You finished, Mr. Gordon? Mr. Ballantyne? Hit your mic if you want to talk, Mr. Ballantyne. Okay. All right. I have one question. You saying someone's helping, is that a contractor that's helping you? Helping your husband?
I have his number in my phone, Todd. My husband knows him.
You don't know whose name or
Yes, his name's Todd.
Ty? You don't know his last name?
No, I have Todd. Pergola. And then I said, hey, let's put a roof. So it is a pavilion, not a pergola. Because when you have outdoor things, and my grandson's birthday is October 5th, so I said, oh gosh, let's put a roof, you know? Every time my family chooses me to do Thanksgiving also, we're rained on. Something happened, so I said, but anyway.
We have a
I-
few more questions of you. Mr. Ballantyne? I'm sorry, I think I turned you off, but let me get you back on. You have any questions? No? Okay, never mind. Do we have any other questions of Ms. Reese? Y'all need a few seconds to think about it, or
I'm sorry, did you,
Mr. Gordon?
Ms. Reese, did you say you'd gotten permission from your neighbors?
I gave a,
That's right, that was the,
I gave a
that was it.
letter
I got it, I
from
saw
the
it.
only adjacent neighbor. The other ones just signed that they
The
don't,
one- but the
they're
one
not
that you-
opposed, they don't care.
the one you're closest to is one of those that signed on there?
Yes, he's the one
Okay.
that gave me the letter.
Okay, thank you.
And I asked, is there any way we can scoot it 4.5 inches? And they laughed. It's like you take it all down and put it all up, and everything's pre-cut and stained, and I wish I would have looked up some information, but, you know, second grade teacher gets excited when everybody starts talking about, oh, you could do this. You don't have to rip up that slab, because I asked, hey, let's break that concrete. I'm so tired of looking at that. I want a lawn. And
Was the
once
concrete,
they started talking,
was the concrete just poured, or was the concrete always there?
I'm sure it wasn't always there, but
I
it was
mean-
there when I purchased.
That's my question. So when you purchased the house, that slab was there?
Yes, I've been there about 3.5 years.
Okay. Well, the only question I have, you have information on the slab. If the slab was there, how do you know that slab is built to what you're saying here on this
An
sheet?
engineer came out. I had to pay him to check it all out.
So you had an
And
engineer-
he submitted the letter saying that this is more than substantial to hold a pergola or a pavilion.
And who was that engineer? Because we don't have that in this record.
It's not in,
I don't see nothing from the engineer.
it was submitted to the permit office. When I paid for that and the penalty, they asked for that right away, and
Just a second. Gotta finish.
so I started making calls, found one, he came out, he inspected, he took measurements,
This for staff. Y'all, do you all have a problem with the slab as well, or just the structure?
No, the slab is not a problem.
The slab is not a
I
problem.
verified that with engineering, although she will have to fill out some paperwork and, you know, potentially put some subsurface drainage on the side to meet our requirements, that no variance was needed for that.
Okay, so just a structure. Thank you.
and my husband just does landscaping or something, so landscaping and pavers, so I know he knows how to do the drainage. He actually went to Home Depot and got stuff, because when we bought it, it was just a swamp. It was flooded. All around, all that cement. And I think he just put some kind of tubes under, pipes under that have the black sleeves, and drains that you could see all over the yard. So the flooding disappeared. It flooded when we purchased. It does not flood now. And the pavilion wouldn't change any of the flooding, because that's just on the cement that's there.
Do we have any other questions of Ms. Reese?
Oh, and I guess I should add,
Go ahead.
well, that's it. That's it.
Greg, you have any more comments?
This is just for Helen. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what's going on, because in the staff comments, when they say on an existing slab approximately 4.5 feet from the property line, they were talking about the structure, not the slab. Okay, so I understand. Sorry about that.
Do we have any other comments from anyone? Can I entertain a motion from someone? Not all at once. Mr. Gordon,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the variance for 4.5 inches.
Second.
we got a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any discussion? I see Mr. Ballantyne, you got your light on, you have something to discuss? Mr.
Yes. I just got a comment. I mean, here we go again, doing an approval after the fact. And so I am opposed, because I just don't like to do approvals after the fact. And the other thing is, if we say no to this, it sends a loud message about, one, get a building permit. And if that structure is already up there, it's a contractor's responsibility, not Ms. Reese's, to make sure it's not in a setback. So anyway, I got two problems. After the fact and, coming to us, with no, it's easier to get approval at the BZA than it is to get a building permit.
Oh, it definitely would have been easier. And after I paid almost $1,000 and the engineers, and now this, I really wish I would have looked it up. But at this point, I don't even know how. I don't even know how I would pay to take it down. I'm asking, please, please. Yeah, give me the 4.5 inches, I know. And all my neighbors know now, after I've knocked on every door, you have to have a permit for everything. And half of them were very surprised. Wait a minute, it's a separate thing? What about my shed? What about this? And I said, apparently anything you do in your own yard still requires permission, so.
Mr. Ballantyne, you have anything else? Does anyone else have any other comments or questions? As we know, we have a motion on the floor. I want to make sure this is the time for any concerns or questions. Hearing no more comments or questions?
I had put my light on.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
That's all right, and it's just, all it is, this is an accessory structure. It's not a house. There are areas where you can be as close as 3 feet to a property line on accessory structures. That may not apply in, I don't know if it's in the parish or not, but I don't know if we have areas like that here, but we definitely have areas around the area. Certainly Slidell has, you can be 3 feet with an accessory structure.
This happens to be in Mandeville.
I get that, that's why I said, I don't know what it is in St. Tammany Parish, and it's not in the city limits of Mandeville. So I don't know what it is in Mandeville either. As far as coming in here with a predetermined decision because something is done without a permit, I have to look at every individual case and make a determination based on the facts that are in front of me. The fact that it's an after the fact because someone started construction, I can't take that into consideration, Tom. I simply can't. You take it into consideration, I don't. I have to judge it on what I'm looking at today because we're here as a board to make determinations based on what we see, not based on what we particularly feel because something already took place.
I can't control the board right now. I have the voting light on, so I don't know if anybody else wants to speak. Can you give me back to the regular screen first? Thank you. I'm not there yet. Okay, does anybody have, my lights are messed up right. Does anybody have anything else to say before I call for the vote? Is anyone else saying anything before I call the vote? Hearing that, does everybody have the lights on? Would everyone please vote with the lights? It will blink once you vote, it'll blink.
So it's 4 yeas and 1 nay.
So motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Miller, thank you. Our last case is BOA case number 2019-1584 BOA. Request by applicant in a PBC2 Planned Business Campus Zoning District to remove 2 existing trees from the front landscaping buffer and 1 existing tree from the side landscaping buffer. The property is located at 1550 Austin Boulevard, Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Resource Bank. The representative is Trulia Remsen. The applicant is requesting to remove 2 existing trees from the front landscaping buffer and 1 existing tree from the side landscaping buffer. Staff comments, please?
Well, first of all, staff does not object to the applicant's request to remove this dead 6-inch oak from the front buffer. No mitigation is required and no variance is required for this item. The 2 pine trees that are requested for removal are not damaged and are protected by the UDC landscaping regulations. While staff understands the applicant's desire to remove the pines, there's no evidence of hardship to grant removal of the trees. If the board decide to vote in favor, we would suggest that on-site mitigation be provided with 4 Class B trees, planting 2 trees in each buffer.
See the applicant, will you please state your name and address for the records, please?
Sure, my name is Trula Remsen, 410 East Lockwood, Covington.
Ms. Remsen, do you have anything further to add?
Not too much, just that I'm the architect for the project, and Resource Bank bought this building. It was a physical therapy clinic. We've renovated it into an office building with permits. They did some landscaping in the parking lot, poured the parking lot, and now they just want to cut these trees for 3 reasons. First of all, they're close to the building. They're trying to keep the trees from falling on the building. Also, they're pine trees, so you get a lot of, pine needles on the roof, which hurts the roof. And also because they're close to the building, the water that they drink kind of undermines the foundation. So they're just trying to keep the trees as far away from the building as they can. So I don't know if you can see on your little site plan, but the green is the front setback and the orange is the side setback. Even after we cut these trees down, we still have more than the required tree credits for the landscape buffer. So that was kind of our rationale, to ask to have those trees removed. I don't think the bank would be opposed to adding trees. I talked to our landscape architect about it. He said, well, you're under a lot of shade. I don't, if they make you do it, you have to do it. But, that's what we're asking, is to cut those 2 trees.
Okay. Mr. Ballantyne? Hit your mic button.
Where is Reagan? Has Reagan voted, or she commented on this, and what's her?
She wrote the staff report and put the comment here about the mitigation.
Anything else, Tom?
Reagan's recommendation is, that you would,
Regan's
On-site-
recommendation is not in favor of the removal of the trees. However, if the board is in favor of it, then we recommend that on-site mitigation takes
and that's what I
place.
want to ask her. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, I'm sure the bank would be willing to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But let me ask this question, just because I know my client's going to ask me this. Is the law that there need to be so many tree credits in the landscape buffer, or is it that once a tree is in the landscape buffer, it has to remain there?
The regulation states that all trees over 6 inches in caliper must remain within the buffer.
Gotcha.
But by looking at these 2 pictures, staff, are those 2 pine trees in the buffer?
Yes, they are.
Huh?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I thought the buffer was, and I may be looking at my map wrong, but I thought that wasn't the buffer area. I'm, because they're so close to the building, I thought that wouldn't be in the buffer area. It's hard to read this little
The
map.
building's right up against the buffer, and especially on the side, you're right.
Yeah, the yellow part that is shown, this is the buffer.
The yellow, yeah, but one of the pine trees is not in that yellow part. It's on the, let me get my,
Yeah, there's one in the yellow part and one in the front.
yeah. So it seemed like one of them wouldn't even be in the buffer. Is that correct?
They're both in the buffer.
They're both in the buffer, okay. All
Yeah,
right,
there's a
just
side and a front
wanna- All right,
buffer.
okay.
And in full disclosure, they're gonna ask to take down 2 more trees that are not in a buffer through a regular land clearing permit. So,
That's not what we're looking at today, but,
that's right.
so,
And I have an additional picture, if you want me to pass it around, that shows, you know, probably a better picture of how close it is, if it matters.
I think we may have those.
You have some, yeah.
We have some, I don't know if we have those two. Yes, if you don't mind, but bring, let's look at those two pictures also. I have some pictures in here, but I don't know if that's the same too. It's the same photo? Do we have any other questions for Ms. Remsen? Can I entertain a motion? I'll wait for you, Brian, if you need time to think.
And we haven't cut them yet, so.
That's good. Can I entertain a motion from someone?
I'll make a motion.
Hit your mic, let me get you the floor, just a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
But your mic's not on, but just a second. Go ahead, Brian, I got it on.
What's that? No, with the, as requested, well, the mitigation, yeah, I got you. Okay, is this on? There we go. I make a motion to approve the variance as requested along with the mitigation as requested by the parish.
Just so, do I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. One question I have with the mayor. They would have to put these, Brian, just so I understand, your mitigation is to put these, my mic's off, to put these trees on their property, or can they put to the mitigation bank? I just want to make sure I understand.
I'd prefer it on the property, but if possible.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that I understand
Yes.
your motion.
Absolutely, yeah, mitigate on the property if it meets, whatever setbacks and
Okay.
locations.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, Jesus.
Hearing no discussion and no questions, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, old business?
Got no old business?
No old business, that's good. Helen, any new business, any cases for next month?
I think we have 5 for next month.
Okay. Is everyone gonna be able to make it next month?
I'll be here.
Okay, that's good, Tom. I move to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed?